been a long time since we've had a chance to sit down and talk, but once again, I'm joined by the incredible Cara Roberts. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. I'm actually, the reason why I brought you in is because, as I alluded to off air, that the Christmas season is coming up. So that means that heavy eating, occasional drinking, a whole bunch of chocolate.
Occasional?
Well, in my life, occasional. But diets tend to go by the wayside, and I wanted to get you as well as other opinions as to how to combat that. Also, like, your social media feed for this past year has been absolutely insane because you've been incredibly busy.
Yes.
And
busy/annoying, depending on how you look at it.
well, you were on the edge, but not annoying at all. But so we'll start off with the fact that you had an incredible year.
Yes.
What happened? Honestly.
Okay, so
Highlights.
Are we talking business-wise? Are we talking about competing-wise? Or just everything all together?
Well, we'll start off with business, then we'll go into competing.
Sounds good.
Okay, so active body nutrition.
Active body nutrition, it's been insane. The response from the community has been overwhelming. We're coming up on our 2-year anniversary, actually, just right around Christmas time. And it feels like we've been open for 10 years. And I'm very proud of the fact that our clientele is so diverse. And our vision was never to focus on bodybuilding and hardcore and intimidation. Mm-hmm. We wanted to be an educational center for camaraderie and people to be comfortable coming in and discussing all aspects of nutrition, not just supplements.
Right.
Supplements basically supplement your diet. They fill the nutritional gaps. They're not meant to be first and foremost. Mm-hmm. And until people fix their actual nutrition and eating and drinking and all of that stuff, that's when they're going to actually get to their goals, whether it's health-wise, if they want to cure diabetes that they can reverse, or if they want to get into shape. It comes down to having proper nutrition all around. Mm-hmm. So that's been something that's been really popular with the community, and I love seeing the people that come in and say they watch my Instagram cooking, or they, follow all of our social media avenues and just feel comfortable. And it's like they're friends as soon as they walk through the door.
The Instagram cooking is actually pretty entertaining. I really do enjoy it.
It's hard because I cook the same things a lot, so I try not to be repetitive, but then I don't do it for a while, and I have people come in and they're like, "Where have you been? I need to see your waffles in the morning."
You know what? Sometimes you need a refresher. And just quickly on the diabetes thing, I mean, it's never a cure, but by all means, is healthy living and great diet and also being active does kind of knock back the effects of diabetes.
For sure.
In some cases.
Some people can reverse. I've had clients that have reversed, and it's just, basically they were following the wrong path with their nutrition, and then they caught it in time, and they managed to, learn our ways, which, I mean, even if you're just a weight loss client, we basically feed people for diabetes, and that's kind of the key there, is to make sure that you understand the difference between complex carbs and simple carbs and yada, yada, yada. So it's important for general health, in my opinion. Now, it's not everybody's opinion, but, we definitely monitor sugars and make sure to keep out refined sugars and so on and so forth, which, like you said, with the holiday eating, that will kind of lead into that when we get to that subject. So.
I gotta say, I've all but removed, I've removed majority of the refined sugars out of my diet, except for my morning coffee. I can't. I gotta throw in one little teaspoon.
You need to come and get some monk fruit. We have sweet monk, and it's amazing.
Okay.
You'll never go back. It doesn't have a bitter taste. It's a little concentrated drop that I put in my coffee every morning, and it doesn't register anything with your blood sugars. It's completely diabetic friendly, which means sugar free, basically. So anything that says diabetic friendly isn't going to be messing with anything in your body.
Okay. Well, I'm always willing to try anything twice.
Yes. They say 13 times is what it takes to actually like something.
Exactly.
So
you are also, you have the business, and also you are still an active personal trainer.
I'm getting back into it now that my own competition season has ended.
Yes.
I did manage to have my very selfish spring and summer, where I had some big goals that I had been working on for a couple of years that I accomplished, and then I like to throw myself into another goal as soon as I'm done. So definitely working with clients one-on-one again. I'm hosting my nutrition seminars still every month. And
I keep missing those because I'm working weekends.
I know, and they're always on Sundays. So I got lots of stuff in the works for the new year. But basically, I rent a room at the Overhang, and Sunday works out best for everybody. So I may do something different, add another time slot or whatever. But we'll talk about it.
Your competition, though, you're very selfish spring and summer.
Yes.
Holy smokes. Congratulations.
My comeback was complete. Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty intense. I had previously, just to kind of give everybody a rundown of what it is, I do figure bodybuilding, which is, you know, a little bit more feminine in heels, and definitely, you know, it's a lot harder looking than it used to be, and it's generally not female bodybuilding to this extent that people know it. It would look more like bodybuilding did for females back in like the 80s. And anyways, I had...
That's like the really high bikini shorts and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. The way that we wear our suits, it sucks, but it has purpose, so it gives us better lines. So anyways, I had won nationals, Canadian nationals, what was it, 2014, I think.
Okay.
And then I was preparing myself to go back to nationals for what's called a pro card. So I've never felt it throughout the stages of my competitive career for the past 7 years that was attainable until I had taken first that year. Then I'm like, okay, time to put on my game face and train for that. So I took a good year, a little bit more than a year. I hired a new coach, Darren Mailing from Freak Fitness out of Winnipeg, now Toronto. He's pretty world-renowned as being an amazing coach, and I learned a ton, which a lot of people don't realize, that those of us that use coaching, it's almost like we get to have personal university degrees with these guys.
Really?
With the amount of education we get. Oh yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense, actually.
You're never, you know, I never am ever going to be done learning, and taking another person's view on diet, nutrition, and training is always important to me. So anyways, long story short, I had to go back to provincials to get my open back. So I had placed in my master's class, which is 35 and over.
Right.
And open is kind of like the big one. That's the all age group. So you're going to be up against 20-year-olds, and I turned 40 this year. So, you know, I definitely wanted to make sure I could make an impact there. So I went back to provincials and I won the overall. So we took the whole show, which was incredible. Yeah. And then a few weeks later, I got back on the national stage, and I didn't place well in open, which I totally, completely agree with my placing. I think everybody was insanely incredible. I do have a thicker waist than most people, so that's a bit of a hindrance for me. I still felt great though. So
I find that personally odd, but then again, like, I'm still learning the entire world.
If you got your eye for it, you'd see where my setbacks are for sure, and physically and genetically what I can be capable of, and compared to someone else. Right. So anyways, I got top 10 for open at nationals, and then I got back into the top 5 for masters, and that was my finale. So I knew throughout my prep that we were going to be calling it quits for this, so that Mark and I could focus again on the store, because, you know, fortunately and unfortunately, I have a lot of customers coming to look for me every day, and when I'm absent to do something for a hobby, it does, you know, it does have an impact. So I switched back to focusing on you know, everybody else's fitness after that.
You and Mark, your partner in life and in business, are just this incredible super group. I mean, the things that you two have accomplished together and independently is just astounding to, like, damn near anyone who's trying to achieve anything personally and professionally.
We're very, very fortunate to have found each other, for sure. And I feel like we're a really good complement to one another, because we both have strong suits that are completely different than one another, like, especially when it comes to business. He's the super back office Rain Man smarty pants with all of the businessy things, and I'm the person who markets it all, basically. I'm the front of the house, he's the back of the house kind of deal. So he's a little shyer than me. I'm very extroverted, so it works out very well there. And then our personalities work so well together that, you know, we're 7 years into it and have hardly had a fight. So we're just very grown up, and that comes with dating older too.
Yeah.
When you date older, you know what you want and what you don't want, so you don't bring your garbage to your next relationship.
You leave your bags at the door.
Yes, the bags were checked. Exactly. Yeah.
That's so cool. So professionally and competition wise, like, do you have anything coming up in the near future?
Professionally, I'm always looking at, kind of tweaking my business model for my Cara Roberts Fit Life. And I don't know if you saw, I did just a little post about my son, who I'm incredibly proud of, Holden, who's my going to be 13-year-old that did a weight transformation this summer. And I had a huge response to that from other mothers that were struggling with getting their kids' diet and weight in check. So I am working on something for youth upcoming new year. So, I mean, I do private seminars for families and stuff like that once in a while. So, as long as people are willing to kind of come up with a business model as they need something, I will accommodate that as I see fit. And so I'm kind of finding this niche, and it's cool that I'm a mom too. I think that kind of gives me that credibility with other moms and dads. So that's going to be coming up in the new year. Myself, Tara Green from X Conditioning, and Lift with Tiffany Breck.
Yes.
We're going to be doing another Foundations of Fitness in this spring, which was basically we started with a very basic beginner nutrition and lifting seminar. It was like a whole day of fellowship at the X Conditioning. So we're going to do the next level, which is an advanced lifting clinic with advanced nutrition. So that'll be something that we'll start working on as well. Just hitting the store hard and making sure I don't neglect that part of things too. So
people do miss you. People do miss you when you're off and gallivanting and taking over the world, quite frankly.
And fighting evil.
Fighting evil. Fighting the evil of fitness, or whatever you want to call it. The primary reason why I had you in, or at least the motivation, was, of course, Christmas season is coming up.
Yes.
And I know for myself, I'm getting invited to this dinner, this party, that party, and it's very, very difficult. Like, I know.
Already feeling like you're gonna fail all month. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I could just see it coming. It's on the horizon. And I'm gonna be looking back and going like, I need to break out the fat pants again.
So I think coming up with a game plan would be the most beneficial thing. Whether you're going to have a game plan to lose weight or you're going to have a game plan to maintain weight, I think that if you can still have realistic goals throughout the Christmas season, so you can pull back the reins a little bit, unless you're okay with completely letting everything go to pot.
No.
And most people aren't. Most people aren't. And they come up with a game plan that's unachievable.
Yeah.
They'll say, okay, I'm not going to have any cookies. And then mom comes with 24 tins of cookies.
Oh, yeah.
So I personally believe in a really nice kind of ebb and flow of healthy nutrition, as well as enjoying and indulging a little here and there. And, learning how to indulge responsibly is definitely going to be the key to having success throughout the holidays. So a few points that I'll make are going to start with trying not to drink your calories. So drinking as much water as possible at all times, avoiding fruit juices, and a lot of people don't realize, eggnog. I love eggnog. Even milk. Like, a lot of people don't realize, in a glass of 1% milk, let's say there's about, I think it's like 14 carbs in that, and I believe 12 of them are sugars. So just that alone is something that people can avoid. Fruit juices. I mean, how many oranges would you actually squeeze to get a glass of juice? Think about it that way. Plus, you're not getting the fiber, and you're just getting the concentrates of all the sugars. And when you eat a piece of fruit, you're actually going to be getting all of the beautiful vitamins and minerals that nature intended your body to help break down those sugars too. So not drinking your calories, watching what you're going to be using for mixes, that kind of thing. If you like fizzy drinks, I like to go for a club soda over everything, club soda with a lime. Even more so than a diet pop, because that's going to be bloating with all of the artificial sweeteners and so on and so forth. So drinking a lot of water, flushing your system of all the impurities that you're going to be taking in. And then trying to fill your body with as many vegetables as you possibly can when you're going to be over-carbing all season.
Okay.
So what that would look like in my house is, I figured out on one of my little Instagram cooks that I did. How to make, like, for instance, stuffing. I made a cauliflower stuffing instead of a bread-based stuffing. And my little picky guy actually loves it.
Really?
So I use cauliflower in place of the bread. So I can still fry all the veggies that I would, my onions and carrots and celery, and put in my poultry seasoning and a little stock, and then I put cauliflower in instead. So that's basically going to be like a huge abundance of vegetables on his plate, so that we can have cookies and dessert. So I'm kind of like pulling back on the carbs in the dinner plate, so you can have some mashed potatoes and some, fake stuffing versus mashed potatoes and stuffing and a piece of pie after. So anywhere that I can trick my family into eating something that tastes like things or Christmas dinner that isn't necessarily going to be as hard on you for your weight and everything. So
that's quite clever.
Finding tricks. Finding tricks. My oldest, who's actually going to be coming back from boot camp soon. Hopefully he'll be here for Christmas. He'll be graduating from the military. He's probably the strictest eater I've ever met in my life. I'm so proud of how disciplined he is.
Okay.
But he has this thing for my carbless cakes. So there's a formula. There's an actual way to put protein powder in versus flour into your baking. So, and that formula, if anybody wants to get a pen and paper, is come see me for your protein. And it's 2 scoops of protein with 2 teaspoons of coconut flour, and that substitutes a cup of flour. So I'll pull back the reins in adding, you know, my flour and my carbs and all that stuff to my baking. I'll increase the protein in it, and it's basically going to be a healthier version of chocolate cake. And I put zucchini in, I've got cocoa, I got all these things that are pretty much fiber or free in this cake that actually tastes like cake.
That is brilliant.
So yeah, so I'll have all of those available for whoever needs them, because I have 3 kids and everybody has different wants and likes and physical needs. So finding the tricks, you got to always find the tricks to try to take out the empty calories or full calories, if even too, and fill them with fiber and proteins.
Wow, I never even considered that. That is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. That's the 40-year-old mom, though. I stayed at home for 16 years, and all I did was cook and bake. So
okay, so you know the ins and outs of this whole thing.
I do. And I have great teachers with my mom and my grandma throughout my life, too. So I have a lot more tools in my toolbox than some people get to have at my age. So, yeah.
Well, it's also, like, and I appreciate the comment you made earlier that you're always learning. You're always, like, opened your mind up to, this works and this works. And I didn't know about this. And you're
I have customers come in every day and teach me something.
There you go.
They'll come in and be like, hey, dude, what about this? And I'll be like, I don't actually know that. So why don't you tell me? And then they feel great because they've got to teach me something. And I think a day is wasted if you haven't learned anything. So, you know, if I don't have someone bringing information to me, then I'm always in search of one new thing every day to learn about something that I'm passionate about, whether it's training or nutrition or cooking. Those are kind of my things. So
promote yourself, please. You are Cara Roberts with Active Body Nutrition. You have a store, you have a website, you have all of the social media.
I do, yes, absolutely. So you can find me on Active Body Nutrition PG on Facebook, and myself and Kirsty Hill from DreamFit, who works for us on the weekends. We have a live Facebook. Basically, well, it's Facebook Live. So people can go on and interact with us every Friday at 1 o'clock on there, and you can ask us all your questions there, and it's just a fun, interactive way to connect more with our audience. I'm Active Body Cara on Instagram.
Yes.
And I do, like I said, I have my cooking and painting too. I'm an artist, so I'll paint sometimes on there too, on my story. And what else do I have? I have my Cara Roberts Fit Life on Facebook as well. And then I have my website, which is cararobertsfitlife.com. So I've got a few things that I manage to keep the reins in on every day.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks for your time.
Yes.
I really appreciate you coming in and help me out. We'll see what happens and if I can stay true to your incredible tips for the Christmas season.
There you go. You know where to find me if you ever need more.
Yeah,
so.
I'm sure you'll see me. Hopefully you'll see me after the Christmas season and you won't be just shaking your head going, you done screwed up.
Oh, I never do. Even those of us fitness professionals, we understand, real life, and we all have, ebbs and flows. We all have our setbacks, and we get back on when we can, and so on and so forth. So don't beat yourself up. Just come and see us.
Gotcha. With the Christmas season coming up, I know it's going to be difficult for me to stay healthy and stay within my diet. My weight has fluctuated so much over the years, but I'm happy to say that for the past 5 years, I've been much, much healthier. And that's thanks to me listening to experts and people who have gone down different journeys, and also me making my own mistakes and learning from them. And so it is an absolute pleasure to sit down and have a conversation with you. This is Crystal Carbert, correct? Correct. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Now, when we just met a couple of moments ago, you mentioned that you follow me on social media, or you've seen a whole bunch of my social media, to which I'm sorry.
No apologies required.
Because, much like you, self-promotion is cheap and easy and fun, but also, like, it can be overwhelming. But when your suggestion to follow your profile, I believe, on Instagram came up, I immediately jumped to it and then was immediately intrigued by your tips, your photos, who you hang out with, the journey that you've been on, and also that you have this incredible professional life on the side that to me is surprising and shows an incredible amount of heart. But before we get into that, I want to talk about what got you into fitness. What got you to where you are today?
It would have been 3 years ago. I joined the gym with a good friend of mine and coworker, who was my original, I call him my gym bae. His name's Dylan.
Okay.
We would go to the Y, and we were really shy, nervous. We felt uncomfortable to go in the weight room where the free weights were.
Yeah.
So we pretty much stuck to the machines, with the exception of cardio. We'd always go down to the weight room to do cardio, just to watch people, to get an idea of form or different exercises. When Good Life opened in Prince George, we both joined there. But really, what really got me into it was a competition with a good friend of mine, Trevor, who used to manage Gold's Gym here in Prince George.
Okay.
We got into a bit of an ab competition. Who could get abs the fastest? And so I kind of ran with it. Going to the gym full time, I had a focus then. And then not long after that, Trevor decided on another little competition, which was to compete. And so that's why I started competition prep for the Iron Ore in 2016, so last year, with Cara Roberts as my coach, and that kind of swung me full force into the whole fitness industry in Prince George.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So it started off with just a simple, friendly competition of who can get the best abs?
Who could reveal their top 4 abs the fastest?
Oh, okay.
And we had 6 weeks. So I won that competition, went on to start prep for the Iron Ore, where I placed second. Trevor was unable to compete, but I was committed, so I competed there. And then this year decided to do provincials. Cara Roberts had coached me for the Iron Ore, and I figured this would be my only shot to share the stage with her. So I started prep with a fantastic coach out of Vancouver for provincials, where I won my class and went on to nationals 3 weeks later and placed top 10. So all within a year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, you getting into it, like, did you ever have this, and I dare call it a stereotypical fear, but there is a fear out there of women afraid of becoming too muscular. Was that ever a concern?
I've always been pretty muscular. I used to get teased about my shoulders.
Really?
In school, that I had man shoulders, and so I used to hide them. I used to try to wear sweaters. It was just my body type, so I knew I put on muscle relatively quickly, and I like to think it's those shoulders that I got picked on about that landed me top 10 at nationals.
I'm sorry, is that a thing? Man shoulders?
I got asked the other day if I was wearing shoulder pads by somebody.
Okay.
I'm wearing a big hoodie now. But
Okay. Okay, fine, fair enough.
yeah, I was always quite self-conscious growing up about the muscle that I had, and I think I've only really become really comfortable with my body since I started going to the gym and competing and surrounding myself with positive people.
It helps to have that support group, because if you're around the right group of people who support you, promote you, encourage you, and also like help you out with tips and whatever the case may be, maybe pick you up whenever you're down, it makes a massive difference as opposed to being around who is just negative and poisonous.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you now find yourself having this great support group?
I do. Before, like I said, when I went to the Y, Dylan and I would hang out upstairs where with the older crowd. Where we didn't really know anybody. I was quite shy. It's only when I started going to Good Life and competing and meeting people and talking to people that I now feel like I have a family at the gym. And on days that I don't want to go, I'll still go for the social aspect of it.
That's handy.
So, yeah.
What do you consider is just a typical workout? Because there's some people out there who are afraid to go to the gym because they don't know where to start, or maybe they're afraid to sweat. I've realized that's a thing for some people, but in your opinion, what is a typical workout?
When I started, it was a lot of upper body one day, lower body the next, and finish up with some cardio. I know a lot of people do cardio. They either do too much cardio or they do cardio first off. Cardio should always finish weight training.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm doing it backwards.
And weight training should be a bigger component to your gym schedule, I guess. Now, a typical day at the gym for me, I'm hitting a different muscle group every day. Generally 5 days a week, it's a different muscle group. I'm there for maybe an hour, 2 hours now, where when I was competing and prepping, it was 4 or 5 hours at the gym.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's way more than I could ever do.
And then I'm lazy with my cardio lately.
Okay.
But if I do cardio, it's generally 10 to 15 minutes. Your body's always trying to reach balance. So if you're conditioning yourself to do 30 minutes of cardio a day and you're not switching that cardio up, you're going to plateau. So your cardio is going to not really do anything for you after some time. So
plateauing is frustrating. It does happen from the time to time where you just can't seem to break past a certain point, and it can be sometimes a deterrent, can it not?
It can. I think plateauing is one of the main reasons that people quit. Initially, if diet, nutrition, and training start causing significant weight loss, which it does for many people when they start, they're going to plateau. Muscle confusion is a big thing. Training, nutrition programs should be switched up every 3 to 4 weeks. There's a lot of research that supports that. Like I said, your body's always trying to reach balance. It's trying to reach homeostasis. So if you're doing the same thing over and over again, your body gets conditioned to it, and that's when plateaus happen. So,
on the thread of balance, there's definitely a balance, I believe, between when it comes to dietary intake and output. I mean, what you put into your body essentially translates into what you get out of your body.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people, or at least I have found when it comes to diet, I mean, if you want to go really hardcore into it, it's a very stringent diet. But there are some people out there who they work out like mad, but then they'll have Chinese food, and they're regular smokers and drinking coffee like it's going out of style. I mean, how important to you is diet, and how are these other people, in your opinion, able to do what they do?
For health and wellness, and specifically weight loss, diet is, to me, 70%.
70%.
Diet 70%. Training, weight training specifically, 20%, and cardio 10%. So if diet, it's been said over and over, you can't out-train a bad diet. If your diet isn't in place, then your efforts in the gym aren't going to see the results that you want. That
makes sense, honestly, because there's one time where I went to the gym, or before I went to the gym, I was like, I got to eat something. I'm hungry. I got to have something to burn off. And so I forget what I had, but it certainly wasn't healthy. And then I get halfway through my workout, I was completely out of gas, just completely out of energy. And I easily connected it to English words, easily connected it to the fact that I just was not, I didn't have the proper intake before I went to the gym. Yeah. I was completely gassed.
So that's a lot of people, when they're trying to lose weight, they start cutting out carbs. Carbohydrates are our primary energy source. When we consume carbohydrates in abundance, they are stored as fat. Carbohydrates are the easiest macronutrient for our bodies to store as fat. Glucose by our bodies stored in our muscles is glycogen, and that's where we get our energy from when we're in the gym. It's depleting those glycogen stores. If your carbohydrates are too low, you're going to feel gassed. You're going to deplete that glycogen way quicker than maybe you intended to finish your workout. So a lot of people will drink what's called a carb powder.
I've seen those.
Yeah. So power lifters, people that do CrossFit, it's beneficial for people that need that sustained energy source through their workout. Not consuming carbohydrates in an effort to lose weight or get in shape is a big mistake.
When it comes to competing and training that you do, what category do you compete in, and what do you have in the future when it comes to competition?
I compete in figure.
Figure.
I'm undecided if I'm competing again. We put our bodies through a lot when we compete, and it's not easy, nor is it the most healthy thing to do, especially in the final weeks. So one of the things that we do before a competition is we cut water. So essentially we dehydrate our bodies.
Right.
And that caused me to have some joint issues. The synovial fluid in your joints is really important for proper joint function and movement. And so I had a couple of injuries, and coming out of nationals didn't feel the greatest. So in the interest of health and what I feel is best for my body, I'm undecided whether, I've said I won't compete again, but I also said that before I signed up for provincials. So you never know what the future holds, but short term,
it's unfortunate that it is actually quite common that athletes of many different types and many different disciplines, like, they put their bodies through hell. I mean, marathon runners, their bodies are darn near decimated by the time they reach the finish line, whether they're first or 101st. It is a discipline. It is definitely like a very raw and very intensive form of training that you do for this competition. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, you definitely have a lot more strength than me to do it.
Well, and I think that's where I thrive, is in prep. I love the structure of it. I love being accountable to somebody. I've actually just signed up with my coach again yesterday because I need that structure. I crave that structure. And that's where I do my best.
I follow you on Instagram, and like your fitness and your training and how you compete and what you've done and all that stuff is absolutely incredible. But I wanted to touch on your profession. What do you do for a living? Like, what's your daytime job?
It's a nighttime job.
Nighttime job, sorry.
I work full-time in a youth treatment program here in Prince George called Nechako Youth Treatment Program.
Okay.
It's in the Nechako Center right behind the hospital, so that's my full-time position. It allows me a relatively flexible schedule. I work 4 nights on and 5 days off, and on my days off I spend a lot of time working in adult detox. I've worked long stints in adult psychiatry and spent a lot of time on the acute floors as well. Like, surgery was my home for many years. Yeah.
That is, like, that's mind-blowing. That's an incredible route that you were on career-wise. What inspired you to do this? To be in that field of recovery and counseling, I guess. Fear.
I had a bad experience with a patient that had some psychiatric issues.
Okay.
And then I found myself scared to go in patients' rooms when they had an underlying diagnosis. So I decided to apply for a term position on adult psychiatry to face it head on, get rid of that fear, because I didn't feel like I was giving my patients the best care possible when I was walking into their rooms apprehensive. So I spent 10 months working on adult psychiatry full-time and absolutely loved it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's incredible what kind of a motivator fear can be at times.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
If it's channeled correctly, it's...
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really, like, the best way to conquer any sort of fear is knowledge, one would think.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, to learn more about something and then just to understand what it's all about.
I just adopted a puppy from the SPCA.
Okay.
And the SPCA, they told me this dog is vicious, is dog aggressive, can't be around other dogs, can't be around small children. So I went to Vancouver, I picked up this dog. I may have told them that it was an only dog household and maybe wasn't completely forthright about the fact that I have another dog. The first day I brought her home, she lunged at the other dog, and it was fear-driven aggression. Today I had them on the couch together, sitting beside each other, cuddling, no collars. It took less than a week.
Wow.
Of consistency, of structure, and of showing her that there's nothing to be afraid of, to kind of get rid of that fear-driven aggression. And it really made me think, if that we're capable of doing that with a dog who's labeled as aggressive and has been segregated from other dogs for years because of this aggression, if she can do a complete turnaround in 8 days as a dog, as a canine, what are humans capable of if we have the proper guidance and structure?
I'm a firm believer that we are, like, control of our own destiny, and at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, we're the only ones holding us back from so much more.
Yes, I agree.
I had a giant crisis, a personal crisis, about 5 years ago, and it took that crisis for me to realize that I had been holding myself back. I was capable of so much more. I had done and achieved so much more before I got to that point, but I just became lazy. I became complacent. I just stopped trying. And so, yeah, I'm a firm believer that we're the only ones, like we are the only ones standing in front of ourselves from achieving so much more. So it's heartwarming to hear that come from someone else.
Working in addictions primarily, one thing that I noticed was we treat detox, we treat addiction, regardless of substance. People come into detox and we treat the symptoms of that detox. Food is one of the most addictive substances there is. So disordered eating and food addiction, it affects the neurochemicals, neurotransmitters in the brain the same way cocaine would. Sugar is far more addictive than many of those substances. However, when somebody has a food addiction or disordered eating, they're told, usually, eat less and exercise more. They're told that by their family doctor, and they're told, that's like telling a smoker you should quit smoking because it's not good for you. People that eat too much, they know it's not good for them. They know that it's an unhealthy choice.
Right.
But there's underlying issues there, and it's something that really interested me, is why food addiction and disordered eating isn't given more attention. So I started doing a lot of research. And in 1921, there was a study on the gut-brain connection. So serotonin is a neurochemical in our brain, neurotransmitter in our brain that's responsible for things like mood, your sleep regulation, appetite. It's your happy chemical. 90% of that, over 90% of that is found in your gut, in your small intestine.
Really?
Yes. So we get it from the food that we eat. If we're eating a lot of processed foods, we're likely deficient in serotonin. So if you think of when you eat a big turkey dinner and you feel tired afterwards, it's the tryptophan in the turkey. So tryptophan is a building block of serotonin. We need that for serotonin production in our bodies. If we're not getting it, then we're likely deficient in serotonin. So then you see depressed moods, increased irritability, problems sleeping, all of these things that go on. Lack of motivation is huge. When people have those things together, it affects our dopamine production as well. And so dopamine is what's produced when we eat that chocolate. It feels really good. Or when we smoke that cigarette. It's our reward center of our brain.
Right.
If we have lack of motivation, if we're just kind of existing, we don't feel like going out and finding those things. Dopamine is something that's, we all have dopamine. So we have to release it naturally. And we do that by finding things that we love. Getting that dopamine released by things we find exciting. If we're not actively searching for those things because we're depressed or we lack motivation, or then we'll find a deficiency in dopamine as well, and the two go hand in hand. So I've done a lot of research, came up with a program. The company name is Triumph. So it's a 12-week program as it stands, with the option to extend that. And it deals with the underlying reasons of why people have disordered eating or issues with food. So things like self-esteem, our core belief system. We start learning our beliefs before we can walk or talk. These are things that are ingrained in us from childhood. It addresses mindfulness and self-care. The three main ingredients to any successful fitness program: training, sleep, and nutrition. Those first and foremost have to be addressed before any supplement is going to change your life. So yeah, we address all those things in a 12-week program, get to the root of it.
Is there a website for this?
We're on Facebook.
Okay.
So it's Triumph, I believe it's Triumph Health and Wellness Coaching on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah. Or I'm on Facebook as well. My last name on Facebook, though, is C, so C and 2 E's.
Okay.
Just because of the field that I work in. And then on Instagram, it's ChitJosie. And my brother couldn't say Crystal when he was younger, so he always called me Chitcho. That's where that came from.
That's adorable.
Yeah, it's pretty cute. Cool. A lot of people think it means something else, but I don't have the heart to change it because it's so sentimental to me.
This will be the second time that I've had Kendall in on the podcast. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really excited to be back.
I'm so honored to have you back yet again. It's I believe it's been too long, but that's only because of schedules. Now, it's been a while, and you have been quite predominant and quite busy on social media. There has been I believe there's been a competition or two between the last time that we've spoken and now.
Oh Lord, I think because that was before my provincial show in Vancouver. I believe.
That's right.
Yeah. So there's been a couple of competitions. So.
And how have you done?
Well, actually, provincials went quite well. I ended up getting a 5th place finish, which is pretty cool because that means that I actually did qualify for Canadian Nationals. So I'll be one of the younger ones competing at that, which is pretty exciting. And then we'll see what happens. I'm going to be trying to enter quite a few, or well, not quite a few, but a couple of pro shows as well next year, pro qualifiers anyway.
Is that daunting for you? Exciting at all?
Oh, it's super exciting. I mean, of course, it's terrifying, but it's just one of those things. If you lose, it's great experience just to be on stage. It's good practice, and then there's always another show that you can go to. Whether it's this year or next year, so on and so forth.
When it comes to fitness, we touched on this before, and there's a stigma behind certain aspects of fitness, especially the female category of being in fitness, and that is like some of the stigmas are like, well, I don't want to gain too much muscle and I'll look too manly, or you have to do this, you have to cut out this, and I'll lose this figure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it takes a lot of dedication to get as absolutely utterly ripped as a lot of competitors in the far off physique category.
Oh, absolutely. It really does. Like, women will think, some women, of course, will see, the female bodybuilders who, they're like Arnold's with wigs. Like, they look fantastic, but they're massive ladies.
Yeah.
And they'll think, the second they touch iron, they're just going to get pumped up like that.
That doesn't happen by accident. People do that on purpose.
Oh, yeah. And it takes a lot. Even where I'm at in just bikini, I say it's like baby bodybuilding because it's the lowest category.
Okay.
But even that is, so far it's been 3 years of very intentional, dedicated, making sure that I'm at the gym. Most of the time it's 2 to 4 hours a day, doing my cardio, doing all of the balanced muscle groups and everything. So, yeah, it does take a lot, and I'm still not very big. So.
What category do you mostly compete in?
I do compete in bikini.
Bikini?
Yeah, exclusively.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the bikini is, you said the lowest level? What does that mean?
Yeah, so by lowest level, I just mean it requires the least amount of muscularity.
Okay.
That being said, though, ironically, because I just competed at the provincials, I got my judges' feedback, which is pretty cool. They send you a video of you posing, and they talk over it and kind of tell you some of the things you can improve. And they said I was pretty good, except for they told me I was actually too muscular for my category. So they suggested that I move up to the next category where the women definitely start to put on, some of that delt size and get the big quads going. So, yeah.
And what category is that?
That's figure.
That's figure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm slowly but surely figuring it out. How have things been for you professionally? Because you still take on training, do you not?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have my own company called Little Fit, which I do personal training on the side. But I do that kind of by night, but by day I am still a professional weight loss and wellness coach.
Right.
So I actually, very exciting, I've had a couple clients who have cured their type 2 diabetes. I have a couple people whose EEG scans have been more regular than they have for 30 years. So just cool stuff like that.
It's interesting. That's actually been a common thread on the couple of interviews I've had before you, and it's amazing how healthy living. It's not easy. By no means do I understand that, but it's amazing how healthy living translates into a healthier life, and there's actually a possibility of curing an illness or disease like diabetes, a certain type.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty phenomenal. There's actually a quote by a gentleman named Hippocrates, who is long ago.
Yes.
But the quote is, "Let food be thine medicine, and let thy medicine be thy food." So pretty much just saying, you don't need to get all drugged up. You can just go ahead and eat better, and usually a lot of those things will change. Like, for instance, just the diabetes alone was a pretty cool one when I found out that could in fact be reversed, and getting to apply that was quite the experience.
Sugar can be and is an addiction.
It really is, actually. When you have sugar in your body, it lights up your brain the same way that it would as cocaine. So,
oh, fun.
Oh, yeah. No, it lights up the same pleasure centers as cocaine does, so it's just as addicting. And that's actually a whole, I won't get into it because I'll get all worked up. But yeah, there's a whole thing about the industry, and it's pretty crazy when you start to look into it.
It is. It really is. like I was actually blown away because the food standards for Canada as opposed to the United States are completely different. And I was blown away at the fact that they put sugar in milk in the United States to promote milk consumption with kids, but you're shooting yourself in the foot there.
They're actually even starting to do that with like baby foods. They'll start to put. I know. Trust me. They'll start to put more sugar in baby foods, and they've got all these different kinds of names for it. You know, the dextrose, maltose, all that crazy stuff. But they're putting it in so that the kids are growing up addicted to sugar. So now they're addicted to the system for all intents and purposes. But when you look at the statistics, as of today, I believe 40% of youth right now will be obese by the time they're 35.
Really?
Which is a bit of a spook.
It is a little scary.
Yeah.
I'm 38 and I'm still fighting with my weight. So
Yes.
it is a challenge. How are things going with you in social media? Because I've been noticing that your social media, which is what exactly? What do you call it? What's your handle?
So on Instagram, I'm
Yes.
Kendall_Kershaw, and then on Facebook, you can just find me as Kendall Kershaw.
Right. Yeah. But I've noticed that, correct me if I'm wrong, I've been known to be wrong because I am male, but your social media presence has been growing quite substantially lately.
So with that, it's one of those things that I kind of have been a little bit more intentional about, because before I'd post my pictures and I'd post whatever caption, but I was never intentional about branching out. So I've started to actually get more of an international audience by going on to the different IFBB pros pages and stuff and just, liking and commenting and engaging them. And then I find that gives pretty good return, not just the followers and the likes, but actual people who are interested in checking in on my stories and stuff, like people who are concerned about what's going on in my life, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, I've been just kind of trying to do a little bit more of branching out myself, and yeah, I've started to increase my social medias that way.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
It's noticeable.
It's been fun.
Do you get much pushback?
What do you mean?
Like trolls, idiots, jackasses.
Jackasses for days. I mean, for sure. I don't typically I'll get a couple like hateful little messages and stuff, but more or less it's just some like inappropriate. Like I had a marriage proposal today.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Yeah, it was.
It's not
good.
from him though.
It wasn't. I'm like, I'm in a committed relationship, and he said, well, you break up with yours, and I'll break up with mine, and we can start a committed relationship. I'm like, oh,
no.
Then. Thank you, but no, thank you.
That's like rule number one. No.
Yeah, so there's weird stuff like that, but usually everything's pretty good.
Okay, well, that's good. It's good to have that support. So with the Christmas season coming up, and I know I am guilty of this. The sweets and the fudge and the chocolate and then all the unnecessary foods and whatever are going to start to come out. And of course, after that, as soon as we get into like, it is New Year's, so here's my New Year's resolution. Guess what? Top of the list.
Absolutely.
Gonna lose weight.
Yeah.
What is your advice when it comes to just, okay, getting prepared for that or preventing it or jumping into the resolution?
So, well, there's a couple things I'd like to say about that. First and foremost, to kind of cover it all, I like to say it does not matter what you're having from Christmas Eve to New Year's as much as it matters what you're having from New Year's to Christmas Eve. So it's the rest of the year that's really going to make a difference, because that's where you're going to set up your metabolism to be in a way that maybe you will gain more weight or maybe you'll prevent yourself from gaining weight. So yeah, it's the larger chunk of the year that'll make the biggest difference.
Okay.
But as far as Christmas, I like to say I'm not a huge fan of extremes when it comes to fitness or wellness and just in general. That's where the bodybuilding kind of separates a little bit, and I am more focused on the well-being. Just because I don't think that it's always great to go full out with your binge eating on Christmas and then go full out like you're going to be this brand new person in the new year kind of thing. Definitely enjoy your Christmas meal, hang out with your family, have that cranberry sauce, have that pumpkin pie, and then on New Year's, just kind of work on being better, because it's better to be more often good than occasionally perfect.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Do you have any snack or health tips at all? Like, is there anything that you yourself do when it comes to just kind of sort of staying away from but still slightly indulging?
So for me, I'm a big fan, especially with what I do. I try to avoid carbohydrates, not to an extent where I'm not having, vegetables and stuff like that. But if there's breads or buns, I'll avoid those, because grains don't really agree with a lot of people. Once you've cut the grains and you reincorporate them back into your diet, you'll notice that they make you feel bloated and a little bit heavy.
Yeah.
I'll stay away from things like potatoes, but definitely fill your boots on like the Brussels sprouts, carrots, like those kinds of vegetables.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, turkey's a great option. I mean, that's what most people have. It's a white meat usually, and it's pretty low fat, so that's a good one.
Stay away from eggnog.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well, what if you put whiskey in it?
Exactly. It's not real eggnog. It's mostly alcohol. Well, that's awesome. Go ahead. No, sorry. Did you have anything else? Or?
I was just going to say, actually, on the alcohol thing, it's not necessarily Christmas related, but also just one thing that is something to be aware of is the actual how calorie dense alcohol is. So around the holidays, especially around New Year's, you'll hear that phrase like stick to your whites, like your white rums and your vodkas, like things that don't have color because they have less carbohydrates, which they do. I mean, a beer is about the equivalent of 5 pieces of bread. But what a lot of people don't realize is for 1 gram of alcohol, you're actually having 7 calories, which is just about 2 calories less than pure fat.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, it sounds like if you're gonna do it and enjoy it. If you want to cut it out, then just don't.
What do you mean?
Well, like for me, okay. So, like for me. Like, I could easily go to the grocery store and buy everything I want for a salad, and then I could either buy a low-fat dressing or I can find a dressing that I enjoy that is not creamy and not calorie-loaded, but still it's in that middle of the road. Yeah. I would rather go with a dressing that I enjoy than a low-fat dressing.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to enjoy something, I might as well just do it.
Yeah.
Right? So for alcohol, like if you're gonna go drink, I mean, it's either you enjoy yourself, in my opinion, it's either you go enjoy yourself and be responsible and be aware of the fact that, well, you're probably stepping yourself back a little bit,
yeah,
or just avoid it altogether.
Exactly. You know, it's all about that moderation. Like one of the things I get my clients after they've finished my protocol, I still stick with them for a year, just free coaching so I can make sure that they're staying within 12% of the goal that they desired. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I talk about is that I don't ever want somebody to be afraid of a food group. Like ice cream, totally, have some ice cream. Chocolate, have it. Alcohol, do your shots. But it's all about moderation, right?
Right.
Just kind of balancing your calories over the week. Something I want to say about the low fat, though.
Yes.
One of those things that is kind of one of those industry little tricks is low fat is usually actually, they tend to add a lot of sugar in because where you take the fat out, it changes the flavor. Yeah. So they have to add sweeteners in to put the flavor back. So it's actually the sugars that are going to get you. So low fat sometimes is actually not the best option.
Oh, damn.
I'm just ruining your night.
No, I'd rather be informed. It's fine. I'll get over it. I'll have a little cry when I go home tonight. It's fine.
Oh, good. As long as it's a little one.
Where can people find you on social media, and also where can people search you out if they're looking for help, advice, or to seek out your professional opinion?
So if you're ever looking forward to, or if you're looking for the weight loss, then you would get a hold of me at Prince George Weight Loss and Wellness. We're located on Brunswick Street. Mm-hmm. I'm there a lot, so I'll probably be there when you come in.
Okay.
And then as far as my personal training, you can just get a hold of me on Facebook or email me at little.fit@outlook.com, and that's where I take a lot of my clients, and I will actually send you a qualifying form just to make sure that your goals are going to be realistic and that I'll actually be able to help you attain them. And then as far as the social media, I'm just on Facebook and Instagram. Twitter makes no sense to me.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, JD, for having me.
It's my pleasure.